Welcome back. We have Nick Eyles joining us on the show all the way from Toronto and speaking at the Kamloops Exploration Group's Speaker Series tonight. It's great to have you on the show.
I'm glad to be here.
Well,
Thanks for having me.
thank you for being here. You're a geologist.
I am indeed. I've been a geologist since I was 16. I've always been fascinated by the subject.
That's awesome. And you've had many books published, I understand. You've won several awards. And tonight you're speaking on a specific topic.
Yeah, I'm talking about the last ice age in Canada and just the way that Canada's been seasonally cold. We get a lot of snow every winter. It's been ice ages as well in the past. We've had about 52 of these. And every time you get an ice age, you get a big ice sheet that's several kilometers thick. And they move and they scrape bedrock away. And what they do is they move mineralized bedrock. And they make the whole process of mineral exploration much more complicated. So you need to understand something about the history of the ice sheet and its deposits, the way in which it moved and the direction to locate new mines. So there's quite a strong economic impetus in what we do, you know.
It's called the Cordilleran Ice Sheet, is that right?
Yeah, it's the one that covers British Columbia. So there's a much larger ice sheet of the rest of Canada, and that's called the Laurentide Ice Sheet. So that's the one that covers Hudson Bay, goes all the way across to Newfoundland. Newfoundland has its own little ice cap. And then the Cordillera, which is named after the Western Mountains, is the one that covers BC up to Alaska, Yukon, and then it just pokes down into the States. And there's not much known about it, actually. There's more known about the Laurentide. People have gone to Antarctica and Greenland, and they've used the knowledge that they've gained there to the Laurentide, but we don't know much about the Cordilleran, and given the economic potential of British Columbia, it's very important that we get that new information.
Sure. The work that you does that influence companies on decision-making about wanting to open mines?
Yes, it's, I'm not involved with that. That's down the road. I'm more interested in the exploration and the prospecting for the mines, and then you get the developers with the money, and they make the economic decisions about whether it's sufficiently economic to open a mine. But I'm interested in the grassroots stuff of actually finding prospects.
Well, you said that not many people know much about the Cordilleran Ice Sheet, but I suspect that you do. So tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's just like new technology is changing your industry, it's changing geology as well. So we now have the ability from space and aircraft to map the Earth's surface in a lot more detail than we did 20 years ago. I refer to it as a sort of Christopher Columbus moment, because we're actually seeing the Earth's surface for the first time that nobody has. So it's really exciting stuff. And so we can recognize the landforms and the marks that are left by the passage of these ice sheets. So it's a case of spending long hours in front of a computer. My students and I spend hours and hours every day looking at data sets. And then we go out into the field and say, oh yeah, this is real, this is what we're looking at. And then you build up a picture of the sort of internal structure of the ice sheet, and especially the ways in which, the direction in which it flowed, and also the velocity, because if it's flowing very fast, it can carry mineralized material a long way. And it hasn't been done for the Cordilleran Ice Sheet. It's surprising.
Do the use of drones come into play for this sort of thing?
Absolutely, yes.
Really?
Yeah, we just bought one actually, a new one.
Right?
And it has mapping software. And again, you get a picture of the Earth's surface that nobody else has seen. It's absolutely incredible. When you look at the maps that were done 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they're basically out of date.
How quickly it goes. And with this technology, things will become more obsolete so much more quickly.
Yeah, and of course we've got more information from the modern ice sheets. And the old idea was they were like bowls of Jell-O upside down. And you warm the bottom of the Jell-O and they start to creep and flow. But they now recognize that in Antarctica and Greenland, you've got fast-flowing ice streams. And these are about 100 kilometers wide. And they're flowing at 4 kilometers a year. And it now looks as though the Cordilleran Ice Sheet had the same structure. So we can use a lot of information from the modern environment to apply that in British Columbia.
What makes this ice sheet different from the others?
Well, there's nothing known about it. So for me, it's exciting that we're making new discoveries every week. And it's different because it's got big mountains. But if you look at Greenland, and this is what I'll be talking about tonight in part, it's almost the same as the Cordilleran Ice Sheet. You've got rims of mountains along the coast, and then the Rockies, and then you've got the interior, which is a little bit lower relief. And if you take the ice off of Greenland, you've got the same basal topography, as we say. So there's a lot of room for comparative studies between the ancient conditions in British Columbia and the modern in Greenland.
Interesting. When are we due for our next ice age?
Well, that's a good question, because I came to Canada at a time when there was a lot of interest in global cooling. And that lasted for about 10 years, and then there was an increase in warmth afterwards.
Sure.
And it's a big debate. You know, that we plateaued for the last 20 years, and there are those people that say that we've got more to fear from cooling in Canada. You build up snowpacks and you can build up these ice sheets again than we do from global warming. So it's back on the agenda. You know.
It certainly felt like global cooling was more the case over this course of the winter. We had a pretty rough one here.
That's right.
Nick, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and I'm sure that your speaker series tonight, your speaking engagement tonight at 7 o'clock will go off very interestingly. You sound like a very interesting man.
Thank you.
Lots of knowledge there. If you would like to take part in that, I know we're showing the weather now, but it's taking place at 7 o'clock tonight at the TRU Mountain Room.